YouTube, what's going on? Well, cars and, well, we're looking at trucks. One truck, but mostly cars this time. Let's get started. Greenlight, and we're going to finish it up with Mini GT. A really amazing casting, really. Quite amazing. Well, let's get started. This is an interesting casting by Greenlight. This is a 74 Golf Mark 1. We've seen this before on the channel with the yellow one. Decided to finally give in and buy the police version. This is Berlin's car, so 74 still had East and West. So this is West Germany. Look at this car. Skinny tires. This is Hot Pursuit Series 36 from the longer lived series from Greenlight. I just heard news. It's been on kind of the social media. There's your other vehicles. They're going to do a series similar to Hot Pursuit with the fire department. This is going to be pretty cool. So they're starting out with a bunch of trucks. But they'll also have sedans. They'll also have, cheap cars that aren't trucks. So we're excited for that. Kind of wide variety. Pickup trucks and cars and crew cab. Like they'll have a crew cab Dodge with a utility bed. So very excited. Well, look at this. You know, when I brought my other casting, the only other Golf I have is a yellow one. Looks very stock. It's funny that I use these small cars, but you know, big city. This kind of probably made sense. They weren't too slow, but this is probably, you know, under 100 horsepower. It's a 74 model. Good detail in the engine bay. There's your transverse 4-cylinder. It's kind of new. This Golf program, you know, they made these cars. The Beetle was the big deal with Volkswagen at this point. And they had a bunch of other vehicles. Air-cooled all, pretty much. This was a big departure. So, liquid-cooled 4-cylinder car. Front-wheel drive, not rear-wheel, like all the other Volkswagens. A lot of similar building techniques, but this was a more modern system. Audi helped them a little bit, I believe, with this vehicle. Making it more up-to-date. Very revolutionary for the time. And sold very well. Of course, this body went for a very long time into the 80s, I believe. Or they went to the Mark II. Let's take a zoom. German plates, and then you have Golf LS, and then you got your Volkswagen tag there. Pretty good. Greenlight tooled up wheels and tires that are correct. So they're not afraid to do the smaller stuff. I wanted to show you out of the package what it looks like. I've looked at all these cars before. We've got them on film, but so I believe the base color of this car is white, so I should be safe taking a Q-tip or a toothpick, put a little nail polish remover. I like to use the light duty stuff first. If it doesn't come off, then I start to get to the acetone, but you got to be careful. But it should clean up all this overspray. Probably when they tampoed these doors, it was just sloppy from the machine probably being dirty. Probably had a lot of green all over it, and then it was kind of going all over the car when they stamped it. It got on the roof and everything. So, but that can be cleaned up, and I'll show you as we go through the castings how I deal with it. Especially, you know, the white. It's easy to make up for with your hobby paints. So, and also to keep things organized, I figured, even though it kind of doesn't make sense with this being in front of a garage, to have the parking spaces to keep the vehicles organized. All right, let's go on to the truck. So 68 Jeep. I'm not going to get all the castings of the Jeepster, but convertible version was probably one to get to. This was why it was purchased most of the time, is that it was a 4-wheel drive convertible vehicle. So kind of the appeal of this car. Otherwise, you would have just gotten a more rugged CJ, or a more practical and comfortable Wagoneer, because they had those too. Comes with surfboards. These might just go into my package storage. I might not just even bother taking these out. Some of the diorama stuff I'll take out, some I won't. So this is Hobby Shop 9. I think this is 1 or 2 back from the most recent that got released. Very excited. So the newer hobby shops, we're going to have Diplomat or Grand Fury in undercover vehicle paint. So it's not like a marked car. So it'll be like a dark blue or something like that. And then they're also going to do Crown Victoria unmarked too. So next 2 series. So I'm very excited. It's going to come with a dude in a suit and all that. So that'll be good. So Jeepster, this is a 68. I think when we talked about this platform, I'll have more details that I forgot. I believe this is close to when it was first introduced to the public. 67, 68, and then it went to the mid 70s. This has the full wheel covers. I mean, everything's pretty good with this one. We'll do an overview real quick. It's got that spare tire kit with the extended rear bumper. You got your convertible boot. Bucket seats, they're crooked. They need to be adjusted. So they're kind of hasty there. Other thing too, if you wanted to get crazy, is probably want to cut this out because we don't have a top for this to put on it. But obviously they leave the casting for the windshield the same, so that's kind of shows up a little bit. But it's not crazy bad. Very clean casting. This is their newer modern type stuff that's come out past year or so, 3 years. Thinner castings, much thinner than the original stuff. Lighter, still use metal bases. But more accurate, and they're using these, they're trying to size the vehicle with the tires now. Been through a couple mold changes, I think. I mean, basically the same tread pattern, but it's getting better. There's a lot less flash on these tires. Hit or miss still. I'd say the tire situation is getting better. It got real bad for a little bit. You know, when originally Greenlight did their wheels and tires, they were pretty straight and true. Kind of get off the rails for a little bit for a few years, and now it's been getting pretty good. The wheels are a little bit thinner, so axle placement is the issue now. So either you get one that are pretty straight or they're crooked. Like you can see this back. I have not touched this car yet. This is exactly how it comes out of the package. So we'll take a zoom and see what the emblems look like. So we have the old school Jeep on the blocks, and then we have Jeepster on top. That's pretty nice. Metallic paint. You can see the trim on the wheels. These wheels are cool because, yes, they look like AMC Jeep Corporation, but you can also probably put this on like those mid-60s Chevys. They had wheel covers that look like that, just got to paint them a little bit differently. So I think these would be a good wheel to use for other projects, definitely. And then, of course, the front, which had its own front. It looks like a CJ, but it's not. This is all extended out. But similar, they had to save cost. So it was kind of just like a broad redesign. So, very cool truck. And then I brought an orange one down just so you could remember what the top. So I like the top. But I like the convertible. The next one to get, which I've seen recently, I just haven't picked it up yet, is the pickup version. So they did a pickup. You can kind of see all the body styles now. They didn't do any 4-doors or anything, but they did a pickup with the half cab. Much like the Scout, this was like an international Scout type deal. A little bit bigger than a really small compact. It was similar to the Bronco, but different. So, all right, there's our Jeepster. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to get into some police cars, which very favorite of mine, of course, for the channel. Especially the old ones. I like the old police cars. So, NYPD. Let's going to be expanding my collection of my blue and whites. I have a carded one, and I have one that I've addressed some issues. So we'll look at both. So we can see one that, and we'll open on the video. So this is one I've changed up a little bit. I just cleaned up what Greenlight already provided, which Greenlight does a great job. I mean, there's just small issues with the car. So we'll take a look at this. This is Series 37. This is one of the most recent series. I think the next one is just coming out now. I got this online, so I didn't miss it, because this is another car that I wouldn't want to pass up. 82 Plymouth Grand Fury. We've seen Diplomat, so now they're doing the Grand Fury cars. Really no difference during this time frame when the M-body was being produced. Really very small differences, if any, between the vehicles. Emblems, obviously, but I mean, the grills are almost identical. Obviously, headlights and taillights pretty much the same. There we go. Again, there's our information. Love this car. One of my favorites. And New York used both, I guess. I saw pictures of both. I thought it might have been one or the other, but probably depending on the year. So they used the Grand Fury and the Diplomat. They used the Chrysler had the police package, I believe, when this body first came out, when the redesign was first new, in like 79 or 80. Chrysler also had one. So, and then they got rid of that, and they had the Plymouth and Dodge versions. Really great. New York painted the wheels like that. Tan interior. It's kind of hard to get more information. I don't know if it was always tan. It might have been blue as well. This is an 82 though, so, and it's got the 82 steering wheel. I drilled this car apart, so we'll be able to take a look at the construction. So all you people that are M-body fans like myself, I'll show you the construction. And then this one here is one that is in the package, and we'll just compare the two real quick, and then we can move on. So let's open it up, and we can do it like I always do these. This also allows you to put the car back in the package when you give yourself some room to cut it. Be careful when using a sharp blade. Ask me how I know over the years. So here's our out of the package one, and here's the one that I changed, most noticeably of just tuning up some of the paint jobs. You'll notice on these cars there's a lot of blue underneath here, and then on the B pillar. You might see more on this side. So I went around with the white and cleaned that up, and it makes it much more presentable. This one actually had a lot more blue than the one I just took out. All this was all blue underneath, so I cleaned that up a little bit as much as I can. It is a small car. The light bar on this car I haven't taken off yet, but I am. It is crooked, so I want to fix that. And then the other thing, the grease was on the windows. This will probably show up maybe. Let's take a zoom. So that cutting fluid or whatever they use for manufacturing is present inside. And sometimes it picks up dust and stuff in there, and so it becomes a big issue. A lot of times they put the tire on one side and then the other, so that's always kind of a... They have engraving this now, so it's hard to tell what the number is when you pick the package up. I think they're doing that on purpose. I mean, that makes sense. So when you try to look under the package, you're looking through two pieces of plastic, actually, not just one. So it's very difficult now to see that. Some of the hobby exclusive cars still use the stickers, and you can kind of see. But typically, most places don't just have those on the pegs. So you can see the issue with the B pillar again. So that would be all cleaned up. I did this one. Probably doesn't look as good under magnification. Obviously changed the wheels and tires, made them all match. But I took it apart. So let's zoom back out. Riveted car. This one's got a high serial number too. So there's our base. They do a good job. You know, these are all probably computer controlled. You can see how they indexed the upper fender liners for the body. It's gonna sit on top. These are all separate pieces. The headlights, the grille, and the front bumper are all separate. So right there, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Grand Fury. So what I did was take this out. There's your steering wheel. I kind of like looking at this. Greenlight does do pretty good with their 1/64th interiors. This has that Chrysler 2-spoke wheel before they did the airbag. The column shifter is kind of non-existent, but it looks good. I mean, that's how the dashboard was, and really, you can just change the steering wheel. It can be any period all the way up to 1989. And of course, you can get in there and really detail everything if you wanted to. These just come apart like that. So I guess when, you know, when they mold this thing, it's all flat. They put the steering wheel in and then they just kind of mold this all like that and then fold it in. So, and then the one thing they do, everything's a rivet. So you would just have to go in there and drill those out. I don't need to. I went in there with a microfiber towel and just cleaned all that out, just wiped it down. Took a little spray wax and then just went over everything, and it took away all the problems. As you can see, it's nice and shiny now. So I'm happy with the car. I love these. I probably get all of them. This is probably a casting. I'll get all of them. As crazy as that sounds. I don't think they're going to make a crap ton of them. I mean, they will, but I think it'll be one I can keep up with. I hope so. But I love Diplomat and Grand Fury. They're just great cars. All right, so we got this, and of course we saw the other one. So I did take it out finally. Hopefully I find more. I'll make it a couple more of these. I got mostly doubles of my favorite NYPDs, but I feel like I want a few more of those cars. So there's our dips. Or no, those are Grand Furies. Then just real quick to round out my Grand Fury Black Bandit. This is an 87 car with the full wheel covers and tinted windows. So a lot of interesting things on this. This is Black Bandit Edition 24. And the other ones that are good on this, which I probably should get, is the Ford. The Cosworth would be good to have. Obviously, this Grand Fury. Their C8. I haven't bought a C8 casting Corvette yet from Greenlight. I kind of want to get the Mini GT first. They're going to do a C8R racing car, which I might get first because I actually like the C8 or the Corvette racing team. And the C8R is pretty cool, so maybe I'll just wait for that. They paint the headlights on this. I kind of prefer that. Actually, I didn't mention one more detail. I did paint these because that kind of looks like unpainted. I might try on this one if I was able to take the headlight out and just paint the back of the headlight. Maybe that might look a little bit better, but that's what I was going for, and I think that looks pretty good. That's what Autoworld basically does with their cars, and at this scale, I think it lets you see the headlights better. And there's our grille detail. Just awesome. You can see they kind of painted it slightly different than that one, but basically the same car. This also, they did the bumper guards, the bigger bumper guards. Full wheel covers, Grand Fury, tinted windows, kind of funny. I didn't really go over this yet with a towel or anything, so it's got all the factory stuff with it. These taillights, interesting. You know, it is clear red plastic, but on this one it's painted. So just funny differences. You can see our Tampa work, our great Grand Fury scripts, and the Black Bandit plate that all of them have on every Black Bandit. Flat roofs to kind of do like a vinyl top. They're going to do another brown vinyl top for Beverly Hills Cop. So the two detectives, they had that brown, I don't know if it was a Diplomat or Fury, but one of those. So So they're going to do that car. That's going to be cool. So all the favorites, they're all coming to town finally. It's funny. After all these years seeing these cars, they're going to do all of them. And again, they're going to do the 1/18 scale Caprice. That's going to be excellent. So we'll definitely take a look at that. All right, so new castings now from Greenlight into the collection. 4-door Panther cars. I got an 83 and a 79 LTD Crown Victoria cars. I got a police car, and then I got the vintage ad cars. So we'll look at these together so we can get looking at that Mercedes too. So this is a full dress car. This is the advertisement car. A lot of options. They tried to replicate the wire wheels, but they used like the wheels they used on the Dodge Coronet. So they look all right. I probably could blackwash them. We'll take a look at this vehicle. A little bit of issues with the tampoing, like how big they made the belt trim or the rocker trim. And then the other vehicles, I can't remember if I got any of these yet. So we'll look at those when I get them. I'll probably want the Sierra 2500 and the K5, but anyway. So this is a very nice looking car. It's got the gold pinstripe on the hood. So full dress car. They kind of made the thing again where they've done in other vehicles where they've done the trim on the window and they also have trim on the outside. So I prefer it at this scale just to leave the outside trim, and the inside one is just looks like it's double. This came up a little high. They did have that big thing down there, but this comes up a little high, so it looks a little too much on the body. But basically, this is a repeat of the wagons. Exactly. Even the chassis is the same. It's not exactly the same, but the same construction. All that stuff looks similar. And these front ends are pretty much interchangeable, too. Probably can get Crown Vic down. Get this black one. Or Colony Park, or no, Country Squire. Yeah, same stuff. Same chassis. So, it looks good. They went with this kind of trim up here, and then it moved down. And the taillights in the same location, but they changed the way the orientation of the ribs were. Till it eventually just, they made like this teardrop where it went around the back. And they rounded it off in like, it was 87. Pretty sure it was 87. Their split grille is 79. They had that kind of more detailed grille with a lot more cross hatching. So it's a cool car. 302, 351, I believe, available. 4-speed autos. Then S trim, which Greenlight's going to do. So this S trim I'm very interested in. It's a single headlight car. It's like a base car. They had it for a while and they dropped it, but they're going to do that. So hopefully they replicate it. So a lot of police cars in the 80s, when this car came out in the early 80s, had that single headlight. So that'll be cool. That's never really been done before. We've had this car when the Matchbox came out, of course. But that wasn't a completely accurate vehicle. It was close. It was pretty good. But yeah, so cool looking car. Separate taillights, which I thought was interesting. You know, I think they do it like the... This is the one that intrigued me more. And also about that other one, so I'll talk about this issue too. Let me take this out. X-Files Hollywood series. I don't know exactly what the series, but there's your barcode. This is pretty much the most recent one that's come out. A couple of cool releases in this set. I didn't get anything else yet because I was just kind of concentrating on what I wanted. Some Maryland town, I guess. It's got Maryland tags. I don't even remember what episode this was. But, so these wheels are the ones they use in the Fox Mustang police car. They have a very long post. So when you get this car out, the wheels stick out past the body by quite a bit. This one evidences it a little bit. It was sort of like this. But this one doesn't have as much of a big post, so they'll tuck in. These didn't. So what I did was I pulled them all out. I filed them flush. I still gave myself enough clearance where the tire won't rub on the chassis, so we get a free rolling vehicle. I took the axles off and changed it with music wire. That's what I like to use. It's much more dimensionally correct for the wheel. And then you can make sure when you put the wheels back on the axle that they're straight. So that's what I use that instead of having the thicker axles where you got to push on them. And sometimes it throws off the roundness of the wheel on the axle, basically. It becomes out of round. This shows off the body much better without all the trimmings. As you can see, the windows look much more in proportion to the body when they don't have the silver trim filled in, like this car. So I'm very happy with this. This is an 83 car, so it had this kind of mid-80s grille that went up almost to the redesign, I believe. I think they left it alone pretty much the same all the way to 86. So this would have been an LTD car, police package. They ran fuel injected at this point. I think it was just becoming available. And small block Ford, and then they had a 351 small block as well. Still on 83, 4-speed transmission. Heavy duty axle, all that nonsense. Again, these are still slower. These were kind of between the Dodge and the Chevy. I believe at this time the Chevy was starting to gain speed and become the fastest. I guess the Dodge and the Plymouth cars were more cost effective. They weren't as big. They didn't use as much fuel. And then the Fords were kind of cheap too, but they didn't have the high performance. And they didn't, I don't think they had the same durability that the Chevys did, but they were pretty solid. They just weren't as quick. And I think that made a difference. But they were comfortable. And you can pull along shift in them, I guess, is the word. So I like this car a lot. I think they did a good job. They didn't really screw up anything. This one I did not take apart and clean the windows. It was pretty clean from the factory, but again, I might want to change that. Oh, another thing to note, a lot of times these wheels, they'll only put the silver on the very, very center. This whole area needs attention, so I brought my silver pen out and made it completely to the end. So that also helps the look. As you can see on this Diplomat, or this Grand Fury, that's the factory applied silver. And then this one again, there's another thing I forgot to tell you. All the way out to the end. So obviously it makes the car look a lot better. So another thing you can do to the vehicle. And then I also added, because it was flat black, I glossed the black around the steel rim part just to make them pop a little bit more. But other than that, pretty much stock. I hope I can get another one, because I'll take the tampoing off and I'll just make it a straight, you know, undercover or whatever car, unmarked vehicle. So very, very cool. Crown Vics. This one I'm going to clean up too. I just wanted to show you the situation with how big the wheels stick out and all that. But the bodies are always there. You know, Greenlight's bodies are fantastic. Sometimes you just got to change up the chassis a little bit. Okay, so the end of the video here, we're going to look at Mini GT, true scale model. This is a MiJo exclusive, USA. This car was released overseas, and then it came back to here, so we wouldn't have to pay exorbitant shipping prices. A lot of these Mini GT cars, the newer ones, like the Land Rover, for instance, that's out right now, but it's Hong Kong shipping, so that thing is like another 20 bucks or whatever it is, something. So hopefully when they get the imported ones here, we'll take a look at those new ones, because I definitely want to get that new Land Rover Defender. MiJo exclusive. We got our Mercedes licensing. It's a real deal. M&J Toys developed it. And then we got all the information. So I love this car. It was incredible. They're really upping the game. The box is really slick. It's like a semi-gloss and flat. Really cool colors. It's like graphite and gloss with the vehicle. This is the Evo 2, so the swan song. This is the last generation of this kind of car, the 190. So it has the biggest engine and the most work done to it. And we'll talk about that just a little bit. So these are cool. These are really sweet. Okay, so let's take the car out of the box. And let's take a look at it. Let's see what we got. So I guess this is 1990. I'm pretty sure is when this car was around. prices have gone sky high. I was reading about this car a little bit to get up to speed because I forgot that there was an Evo model, quote unquote, that was far and above the kind of the homologation special that they were selling way back in the early 80s. I think 83, 84, the car came out as a special. It started with a 2.3 liter four-cylinder, and then it went to a 2.5 liter. And all the time it went up in horses. Really strong car, very fast. BMW M cars were around this time too, so they had a fierce competition with each other. But the Benz was a really strong vehicle. Then Evo 1 and then the Evo 2, just very, very heavy aerodynamics were applied to the vehicle above and beyond the kind of the stock tuned up version. That was the other Cosworth car. Cosworth heads, camshafts, fuel injection was different. They sold models without cats, I guess, at this time. So they had a horsepower difference of 10 to 15 horses or something like that. I think it all the way went all the way up to like 260, advertised 270, but it might have been more. Who knows? Non-turbocharged cars. It was all motor, which was great. So, and very torquey, and motors were very heavy duty. Probably the best 190 Mercedes in 164 scale that I've seen. I love the headlights. A lot of times, and you've seen this because it's a popular car to do. Matchbox has done it, I believe, and Majorette and a lot of companies. Sometimes the front end doesn't look right. They usually get the body and the shape of the car correctly, but not always the headlights. And these headlights are excellent. They have the signal bulb in the inboard section with the correct depth. We don't see any post supporting this. They probably clip it here and back behind here, so this is all free to detail it. Correct black wash on the grill. They did spend the money and put a photo etched hard metal hood ornament, so that's on there. They got the correct wheels. I guess these were 17-inch wheels back then, so that's kind of big. 17-inch wheels, and they had this coefficient of drag was lowered. I guess the original car was like a 0.32 and went down to a 0.29, so very low. Bi-level wing here was fully adjustable, so this also provided lift. I guess there was a professor that was involved at one of the German colleges designing the arrows for this car, so it got even better. So more horsepower, and it cut the wind better than ever before. Mini GT, metal base, rolls excellent. Very thin, low profile tires. Painted metal base. Screw construction, so you can take it apart if you dare. Which this one probably falls right apart. These mirrors, solid plastic. They're not the rubberized ones. I think they kind of changed their deal with this car. I just love it. There's a silver version with different wheels, so I might get that. There's that famous wing. The exhaust is perfect. I love it. They got the period Mercedes font, that 90s plate that they used to do. The car looks like it's straight out of the magazine. It's even got the sticker on this, where they would always put stickers to denote the vehicle and everything. And we also have our side badge right there. So just excellent. There's your jacking point, covers. I mean, it's all there. Even the frost lines in the rear window. So very happy to have this car. I think it's amazing. Very excited. W201 series car, ran all the way to 93. I think this car didn't go past 90 or 91. Just, you could put your comments down on that. Can't remember, but do remember the power, the Cosworth involvement and all that. We took a look at some good cars today. We got more to come. Starting to pile up some more M2, so we'll look at that. Tried out the parking lot today. I think it worked pretty good. And, well, thanks everybody for watching, and appreciate all the new subscriptions. And take a look at the prior content. We've got a lot of vehicles up on the channel at this point, so definitely enjoy yourself, and more to come. We're always going to have more vehicles. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope everyone's doing well. More to come. Till next time.